regular council meeting of February 24th to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Clark,
Here.
Adair, here. Belkey,
Here.
Barzik, here. Stirrup,
Here.
Shaw and Conan are absent.
Okay. Everybody's looked over the agenda. Do we have a motion?
A motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Citizens' comments.
Good evening, Kevin Grand, Armada resident. I just have one question I'd like to ask the village council. Given the recent storm we had in town, I would be curious to know how many citations were issued to property owners for failure to shovel the property, sidewalks outside of the property, and if no citations were issued, why were there no citations issued? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that's a good point. I would like to check into that myself. Because we even had some businesses uptown that didn't shovel. So it needs to happen. People still use the sidewalks even in the wintertime. So, okay, thank you for that, Kevin. We don't have any presentations, administrative reports. We don't have the F&B yet, but any of the commissioners want to speak?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Mine's on my phone, sorry I didn't print this, but Dan had given me an update, and I'll go through it quickly, I'm not gonna read the whole thing. But the generator was fixed, they are testing, or I'm sorry, he cleaned any residue, they brought it under load for 30 minutes, operating temperature, no visible leaks, and they're gonna put it into a monthly test process to do it every month. They're still working on the water line quotes. Swift return to the site for the directional boring. We going to be looking at tapping into the fire hydrant. Sub pump replacement. I'm trying to think about, I think you covered that, Steve.
Yeah.
This was when I was gone. They're going to look at putting the new backup one in, and they're going to look at possibly building like some kind of a barrier with some.
On that electrical box?
Yeah, so we don't have it a problem going forward. They found an electrical repair vendor to fix the mixer that was in that got shorted out because of that water. Sorry about this, guys, I don't want to read the whole thing. And we're going to continue to look at the mixer situation in the sludge storage area. Once we have the ability, we're going to pull that out and assess what the condition is of those mixers. He also said that he apologizes for the monthly report not being here, and he's going to have me information on the water line in an hour. He's hoping to give me an update on something.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
So he is responsive. I just didn't get it at the time.
Thanks, Mike. Who's next?
I'll go.
Amy?
I just wanted to let everyone know, back a few months ago, Mr. Conan had mentioned that we should talk about grants before we actually apply for anything. So there's a federal grant that Kevin Grand informed me about last year, and I've been working on it, just back and forth with Lisa McLean's office. And the grant application is actually open now, and the deadline is April 4th. It's a matching grant of 25%, so we pay 25% and the federal government pays whatever, but you can kind of tell them how much you need, and then say we needed 500,000, what we'd owe, 125, so, but I also think it's available for water and sewer. I looked up like some of the projects that they used it for, so I think you guys could also apply. And I'm gonna forward the information to both of you, just in case. Now, I've never applied for a grant before. Michelle, I don't know, who who could help me do something like this? Do I have to talk to Paul?
I don't know, who do you get, I mean,
If it's, I assume it's technical, so you probably want to ask him, do you have all the paperwork?
I
for it?
have the actual application, but I could not bring it up on my phone, so it would not come up. So I don't have, I know that we need like 3 supporting letters, not from people associated with the village. I'm not exactly sure what that exactly means, but I kind of have an idea. I don't know all the other specifics. I don't know if I need to get from Paul like a list of the streets that we don't get done this coming year, the next year that we want to do, and then tell them that, and then have an idea of the costs, and then that's how much we ask for, and then we'd have to pay 25% of that if we get it. So I don't really know because I could not pull up the application.
Yeah, if you send that to me, I'll take a look. Sometimes they want a
He said it was very
completed
easy to,
plan.
not
Yeah,
to
this
interrupt,
doesn't
he
sound
said it
like-
was
Yeah, you
very
gotta tell
easy
him
to
kind
apply
of what you
for.
intend to do,
Yes.
kind of ballpark prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said it was, when I talked to him last year, he said it was a very easy thing to do. He said it wasn't
Okay,
super
so-
complicated. And so other than that one, then in a month, the Michigan grant should be available, like we got last year for First and Simons. So that's another thing that, you know, hey, all we gotta do, we gotta apply if we can, and then, you know, see if we get the money or not. So I just wanna let everyone know if you're okay with me going forward, but
Yeah,
I'll have to talk to, you know, I can't even pull it up on my phone, so I'd have to come in maybe and work on Mr. Conan's computer.
Yep, that's always something.
And then Michelle, have you done this before? Okay, so who does do this? So I have to do this. I have to apply for a
No, I
grant.
don't know,
you-
maybe contact Paul, I mean,
Yeah.
once,
I'd say let me look at it first,
Yeah,
and
let-
then I
let's look at
can
it.
tell you if, a lot of these are, can be technical, and so they may want a fully blown plan or a partial plan with detail of what you intend to do, but if this is these Senate and Representative, you know, they get an opportunity to push forward some requests to Congress for chunks of money, and so that's where you say it, indicating it doesn't really require a whole lot, and that's the beauty of those things. You just ask them for a certain amount, and they're either going to give it to you or not without all the detail. So you got to write up a little bit about what you want, but I think all that data is already here. So yeah, if you just send it to me, I'll take a quick look, because I'm interested in lead service line.
Right, I figured, you know, whatever money you didn't have this year to finish the project,
Yep.
so.
and maybe some of the info could be pulled off of where they went through the streets and say the condition and what
Yeah,
needs to be done, and there's some ballpark prices in there, so at least,
Right, and I
Yeah,
thought
something.
Paul, I'm sure Paul wouldn't have a problem giving me, you know, quote on, you know, the streets that we're not able to do this year, you know, and just to have an idea, or,
no,
yeah.
no, it sounds good. Anything we can do along those lines? Ross, do you have anything?
I really don't have anything. I've spent the majority of the I know.
Well,
I know.
he doesn't have anything.
Holy
This
cow.
is-
Make a note of this. and,
I am, I'm gonna say Ross
then in
has
minutes.
nothing.
Well,
He
that's-
he is on the agenda.
This is what I've been doing for the last
Wow.
couple of weeks, so, but, because the only thing is, I told Steve that the electrician finally connected the lights at the Salt Dome, so that when Dave and crew go in there at 3 o'clock in the morning, they're not just using the high beams off the truck or the scoop loader. So they'll have a light now, and it's directional, goes down, it doesn't go into the apartments.
No, it's all good.
That's up and done.
How are we doing with salt, by the way, since you just mentioned it, for the year?
He's gotta order more.
Yeah, I think he's getting all.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're all set with
Yep.
administrative reports. Now we'll move into general business, which is the approval of the minutes and the payment of bills. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Support.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that passes. Old business, we have none. We have one item on new business, I'm sure it'll be a quick thing here. Accept the water
It's only this
reliability and wellhead evaluation study. You've all got it in your packet. And Ross, if you want to hit some highlights.
Yeah, these are two reports that we were approved to do last year. Reliability study is it's about a 5-year turnaround required by Eagle. Report that Eagle requires, is a better way to say it. And it really summarizes our waterworks system, what's its state and the capacity of it, capabilities of it, and provides recommendations for future improvements. So the best thing for this is just to go through it and take a look at it. I've spent a bit of time with those guys going back and forth and making some changes to make it clear. I think this report is important because if I'm not water commissioner again in a couple of years, it's really a good document for the next water commissioner to take a look at and kind of understand what the lay of the land is from a water perspective. I think it does a fairly decent job of summarizing that. Plus it does give that, towards the end, it gives a rundown of improvements. Most of them are infrastructure improvements. There's a water lines, old water lines. The contingent well study, concern is we've got 3 wells. 2 of the wells are side by side. You cannot run those wells at the same time. We usually cycle one and then the other with well number 8. So 7 operates by itself and 6 and 8 operate together. Well number 8, I wouldn't say it's a poor performing well. It doesn't perform, I think, quite as we had expected. And so the concern is if one of those wells should go out, you need to understand what your firm capacity is, and firm capacity is actually taking one of the wells out of the system. And so they take the high producer, and so just something that we need to think about is looking for another location for a potential well at some point. Hopefully nothing happens. We don't think anything's going to happen to the current wells. We looked at village-owned properties. We didn't look at any private properties. So village-owned properties, and there's a number of elements that they look at the properties in consideration of. So the 2 that they've indicated that would probably be able to provide a productive well. Again, maybe not to the capacity that we would like, but the productive wells is the area where well 8 is already, or that area that wells 6 and 7 are already. So, there's some potential next steps to look beyond those 2 sites that maybe find a well that would produce better. They can't guarantee anything. They would say that you could go and drill on the site of well 8, that general area that it's in, and you may find a highly productive well, or you may not. The only way to know is really to go on to the next step, and they've indicated the next step in the document and a cost, general cost for it. Of course, the cost will change over time. So I don't want to get too much into these things. I would rather you guys read them, and then if you have questions, the idea behind getting these accepted and approved by council is I would like to be able to pass one to the fire department. Steve, I know, is going through the report, and you see where they talk about the school, they talk about the fairgrounds, and we work cooperatively with those 2 entities on their plumbing systems and hydrant flushing and so on. But at the end of the day, the middle school because it's in the township, that piping that runs around it
The
is the
middle school's
property
in the
of the,
village.
or I'm sorry,
The high
yes.
school and the
Elementary.
elementary school are in the
elementary,
township.
yeah. Elementary school is the one we're concerned about. Middle school's in the village. The piping there is fine. And the piping is okay at the elementary school too, but there's only one line in, so there's a point of failure there. They would recommend it be looped. And we should not pay for that because it is
Right.
on school
Right,
property and it's theirs. Same thing with the fair. We work with the fair board, but the lines into the fairgrounds are solely the property of the fair board. It's not ours to fix. So it's one of the things I asked them to do was split it out. I hope they did that. I didn't get back to see if they
Yes,
split it
they
out, but
did.
I said you need to take it out and make a separate table or block,
They
put those
did
in.
at the end, stuff that's private property, suggestions for them.
Yes.
One thing I was pleasantly surprised, on page 18, they say, therefore, it is not expected that any additional well capacity will be needed to meet the estimated 20-year future demands.
Yeah.
And again, but then we talk about replacing the 4 and 6-inch lines, that we need to loop some areas that
Yeah.
would make even fire protection even better.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's a good report, and I
Yeah.
think it goes into sufficient detail, again, for anybody to really kind of understand what we have and what we have to operate, and our responsibilities back to the public. It's a very good system. We do have infrastructure issues like almost every other municipality out there, where we have old undersized pipes that we need to get after. It's all a matter of money, and so I even had them put in information in there about lead service line replacement. I think that's our near-term priority, but it's, again, I said I wasn't going to get into all of the details. There's a lot of detail in there. It's a good document, primer for a new water commissioner. Contingent well study, I think they did a great job too. And when you start to think about, and I know Steve appreciates this because he's been a water commissioner, what it takes to put a new well in, and all of the considerations from the state that you have to go through, contamination areas and so on, it's a bit of an eye-opener. So both of those will, if council so deems, I'd like to get those approved tonight, and I do want to pass out at least some of the reliability studies to the fair, the school, and so on, so they can start thinking about the issues that they may have. I think we're happy to work with them, but at the end of the day, they own it. We don't want to pay for that.
right. So, you gonna make a motion then?
Yeah,
Okay.
did you want me to make them separate?
Yeah,
or-
I put them on separate.
Okay. Make a motion then to accept the water reliability study from Rural Professional Services Incorporated and to place on file.
Do we have support? Mike, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes.
All right, and next I would make a motion to accept the wellhead evaluation. Oops. See, now you get me into trouble every time I do that.
Oh, yeah. I
To
think.
accept the contingent well study from WSP USA Incorporated and to place on file.
I see what I did. Yeah, I did it twice, sorry. Yeah, you could have done it in one motion, but that's okay.
And do we have a
I'll
second?
support it, or second it, whatever.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that
Thank you,
passes. Thank you,
everybody.
Ross.
So that fulfills our requirement now for 5 years?
The reliability study is the one that is due every 5 years to stay in good stead with the state.
So we should-
Contingent well study is on us based upon the
But that one's good then until 2030?
I wouldn't necessarily put a date on it. It's information for us to decide whether we don't want to do anything, want to do something next. So I would not put a date on that specifically.
Okay. Okay, we have any upcoming agenda items? Anybody wants to
The
comment?
next meeting is the PA 33 public hearing.
PA 33. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Do we have citizens' comments again? Anybody?
I would just like to add one thing real quick. If that report can be made in public at the next meeting, that will be appreciated.
Oh, about the
Who
violations?
was cited, how many were citations, or how many citations were made, and if not, why not?
Okay.
Don't need to know the who, just how many were actually issued.
Yeah. Do we have any council comments? Do we have any community events? Okay, we have no closed session. I guess we will have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:21.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, everyone.